The Swansea University Research Forum, Researchers' Art Awards 2011. The Research Forum at Swansea, or SURF as it's known, is a community of research activists committed to enhancing the research environment and to encouraging interdisciplinary networking, both facilitating individual research excellence and aiming to inspire research through all levels of the university. The Researchers' Art Competition is a fantastic example of an interdisciplinary activity and is funded by the EPSRC Bridging the Gaps programme. Students and staff were invited to submit a visual representation of their research, along with an impactful and inspiring short description detailing what the image is, how it was produced, and more importantly, why their research matters. The aim of the competition is to celebrate the beauty and diversity of academic research in all fields across the university. A high-profile judging panel was assembled, including Professor Dame Jean Thomas, Master of St Catherine's College, Cambridge University, and Vice President of the Royal Society, Catherine Draycott, Head of Welcome Images, Dr Rosetta Plummer, Director of the National Botanic Garden of Wales, and Swansea University Pro-Vice-Chancellors Professor Noel Thompson and Professor Hilary Lappin-Scott. All of the entries have merit, be it for a striking image, an inspiring and informative abstract, or a captivating combination of the two, and the judging panel selected 13 award winners from the many entries. An engaging image, combining elements of movement set amongst the neglected urban backdrop of the inner city. Parkour, or l'art du déplacement, has found its niche amongst the spaces. And it is in these ruined spaces that traceurs, as practitioners of parkour are known, find inspiration in the ambiguity of empty spaces, restorying them through their performances, where some see transgression, others see transcendence and a desire to rise above conventions and discover the city anew. The researcher Kate Evans, a geographer, is interested in how we understand and experience space and place. In Kate's research into parkour, she examines how the city is experienced and lived through the body, and the implications that this has on both individual and collective understandings of space, and the politics of bodies and behaviour in the city. At the same time as exploring the elusive aspects of everyday experience, Kate is also interrogating the aspects of experience that are often missed or altered through the processes of trying to research and represent. This image really captivates the imagination, forcing you to ask the question, what is it? And I think that can be a very powerful way of actively engaging with your audience. So, what is the image? What we're looking at is data, obtained using the Scanning Vibrating Electrode technique, or SVET. The SVET technique detects localized corrosion activity on the surface of the material and is an excellent technique for determining the mechanism and rate of corrosion reactions occurring on metallic materials. Producing an engaging visual representation of data can be a challenge, and in this image has been achieved by using a 3D render. The mountainous peaks represent the anodes, where the metal is corroding away, surrounded by a cathodic sea, where oxygen and water are reacting together. The heights of the mountains represent the extent of corrosive attack at that point on the metal. Spoken word, written text, and photographic portraiture are brought together in this entry. The image is a textual representation of President Obama's official photograph. The text that makes up the image is extracted from Obama's campaign-defining discussion of race and collective guilt. the A More Perfect Union speech from March 2008, given in response to Reverend Wright's inflammatory comments. This research analysed Obama's campaign rhetoric to reveal how he used his position within the narrative of America's history of segregation and racism to present his election as an opportunity for collective redemption. A More Perfect Union encapsulates Obama's rhetorical strategy of conciliation and redemption, and offers a cathartic example of how racial unity can be realized. It remains one of the most important speeches of Obama's campaign to become the USA's first African-American president. At first glance, this image looks like an abstract, figurative watercolor, with features not quite representative of the real world. But it is in fact a digital photograph of the tallest building in Wales, a new landmark on the seafront in Swansea. The research involves downsizing pictures using different algorithms to display them on mobile phones. One algorithm, called seam carving, led to this reduced to max image of the Meridian Tower along Swansea Bay. This process aims to delete unimportant pixels or parts of the image to get a native resolution for small screens. The result should help the human brain to grasp the content at a very quick glance. Most of the author's tests resulted in abysmally distorted piles of coloured pixels. The image of the Swansea Tower, however, stood out like a jewel, almost like the real thing. The write-up stage of research is just as important as the research itself. It's critical that research ideas and outcomes are captured, but thesis write-up can often feel like a tortuous process. This is a photograph of the researcher's PhD thesis, with bright-coloured skittles spread across the written page. The words in the image are a discussion of childhood and children's rights as social constructions in time and place, undertaken as part of doctoral research into gender equality and children's rights. The photograph represents the process of translating research into words and the difficulties of writing and rewriting, and the need for reward and enjoyment in the form of skittles. During the final writing period of the author's PhD, in the never-ending rewriting and rethinking of research results, reward and small pleasures such as sweets were used to keep motivated. This image was produced one day while thinking and procrastinating about the process of writing and the importance of research ideas. The image represents a stage in research that is often neglected. However, in order to have impact and consequence, our research needs translating into the written word. This beautiful image is best described in the author's own words. After a long night and in the early light of a cold dawn at sea, halfway between night and day, between sleep and wakefulness, who can fail to soar with the subtle spirit of this alien place, to be moved by its cold beauty? At sea, you are intimately connected to nuance of time and place, to every mood of this Arctic dream world. This photograph of the dawn light and icebergs was taken very early one morning after a long night at sea. These are the true colours. The author and her research team were traversing the continental shelf of southeast Greenland, measuring the temperature and salinity of the ocean waters, in order to determine the route warm water is taking from the Erminga Basin to Greenland's glacial fjords. The arrival of this warm water in the fjords is causing accelerated mass loss, more iceberg carving from the Greenland ice sheet. This is a snapshot of the author's recent research, updating a world events timeline for Oxford University Press. The author's computer screen is shown, with multiple open windows, for researching and recording world events from his office in Swansea University. Usually, when people are asked to picture the view from their office, they will immediately think about the view outside their office window. The author has closed the blinds on that view, choosing instead to picture a view which has only opened up with the advent of the internet age. The possibility of new participation, actual and virtual, in real-time world events. New media technologies are facilitating new protest movements in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya and beyond. And they are also, simultaneously, opening up multiple windows and perspectives from which to view the world. This image looks like it's taken straight out of a documentary, with computer-generated fly-throughs within the human body. But it is in fact an artistically and extremely sympathetically coloured scanning electron microscopy image of a cryogenically frozen bovine cartilage. The sample was frozen using a cryostage, rapidly freezing it to minus 192 degrees Celsius, reducing the risk of denaturing the cartilage during dehydration. The cryo-SEM was used to allow the researchers to characterize the surface without the need to fix the sample, while also eliminating the need to sputter a metal layer onto the surface. Therefore, the image is obtained without tampering with the sample. The surface is important for tailoring the cartilage for use in regenerative medicine to help stimulate regrowth of damaged cartilage in knee injury patients. Selected for its striking simplicity, this entry provides a glimpse into research that can often be a challenge to convey. We're looking at a slice through the simulated spatial distribution of 4 different charge states of the xenon ion, produced at the focus of an ultra-short, intense infrared laser pulse. The images are tiled for illustrative purposes, but in reality they are nested. Each ion shell is enclosed within the next largest, like a Russian doll. The unusual shapes are due to the experimentally realistic treatment at the laser focus. These simulations are being compared to experimental data in order to benchmark the most up-to-date theories of tunnel ionization. The probability of ionization is directly related to the strong field electron dynamics taking place as a result of the laser pulse. The researchers were able to measure this experimentally by spatially resolving the ion distribution, leading to a better understanding of these exotic dynamics. This could almost be at home, hanging in a gallery of Disdale or neoplasticism art. But if you take a closer look, you'll see that this composition is made up of a year's worth of research into dye-sensitized solar cells, or DSCs, part of the researcher's engineering doctorate. Each one of the objects in the image is an individual DSC, or a component of a solar cell, and each has been collectively subjected to thousands of hours of testing and measurements. The arrangement of the cells is almost Mondrian in its composition. The DSCs are laid out randomly. However, there is order in this chaos, as the researcher could probably name the experiment carried out on each individual DSC. This reflects how scientific research has to be systematic in nature in order for it to be valid, despite sometimes looking disordered to the outside observer. If you look closely, you'll see the researcher's reflection in some of the cells. Their research is a reflection of them and how the researcher has put everything into their research. This entry, selected for its almost menacing beauty and captivating abstract, is best described in the researcher's own words. When I looked at this bacterial colony down the microscope, I was surprised to see an eye looking straight back at me. I think I'm in control of my laboratory experiments, but being watched by a bacterial colony gives me a new perspective. They dictate the often unsocial hours that I work. When they do something unexpected, they fill my mind with possible explanations. Understanding what they do brings joy and excitement. The results of my work direct further research and ideas, maybe even an entire career. I think I'm influencing them, but in reality, I think our research shapes us, defines us, inspires and excites us. The bacteria in control after all. This is a picture mosaic of Alan Turing, a man who in his short life made some very influential scientific contributions, leading to the development of modern computers and computer science in particular. 2012 is Alan Turing's centenary, with many activities around the world and UK in particular, celebrating his unique impact on mathematics, computing, computer science, informatics, morphogenesis, philosophy, and the wider scientific world. This picture is based on the original portrait by D.J. Rogers. The mosaic is made out of hundreds of images, reflecting research and activities where Swansea computer scientists have played a key role. These activities still have links to Alan Turing, some hidden, others very visible. The pictures, taken from the Swansea University Computer Science website, range from several international conferences hosted by Swansea to the people forming the department at Swansea today. And finally, onto the overall winner of the 2011 Researchers' Art Awards. In addition to the striking image and the informative and inspirational abstract, this entry has been transformed by the researcher from a relatively dull and uninspiring image into something which captivates the imagination while also highlighting the research and its importance. A challenge we each have to embrace as researchers. As this researcher notes, at first glance, it is hard to see beyond the surface of a lustrous metal, but this is a modified image of a fracture surface that has been subjected to a novel treatment involving laser bombardment, represented by a lighting effect. Using effects within Adobe Photoshop, the impact of the laser is brought to life, transforming the image from a mundane photograph of a broken metal bar to one that is more striking. As a scientific researcher, it can be challenging to convey to those from other disciplines the excitement and beauty of such research, but arresting images of this kind are one way of doing so. Researchers' art, images and abstracts are an incredibly powerful way of communicating research to colleagues, potential collaborators in different disciplines, and to the general public. Research stories told through images can have huge impact, while engaging people with research that would never have the opportunity to read an academic paper. Research is vital, but even more vital is communication of research.